Hey everybody, how you doing? Well, that's good. Welcome to PHLY Flyers, presented by Mortgage CS. Check out mortgagecs.com/PHLY to start your home buying process today. Company NMLS ID number 1464766. My name is Bill Matz. I'm your director of fun and games for the afternoon. Joining me today on this very special Crescent Hollow production of F Around Friday, my good friend, Frankie Frankie Barbado joining us. This is a long time coming for me. I don't know if anyone else knows this, but my ultimate goal in this business is to become some combination of Bill Simmons and Adam Sandler.
Yeah, you're on your way.
Where I just... I just get to work with my friends.
Yeah.
And, like Broad Street Hockey was that way, and Kelly is with us, and Charlie, obviously, I mean, he's the Phillies #1 beat reporter. But now I get to actually have one of my best friends in the studio, Frankie, joining us. It took a little convincing, but he is here on this, like I said, special edition of F Around Friday here at PHLY Flyers. So, of course, all week, like as soon as Charlie told me he was taking off like 8 shows to go on, oh, my friend's having a wedding in Italy and I'm going to go on this European vacation. You know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
We're going to get some news.
Yeah.
And we got to the final day, one more show. I was like, oh, my buddy Frank's going to come on. We're going to talk about fights. We're just going to tell stories. We're going to drink some beers.
It's going to be amazing.
And yesterday at like 4 o'clock, we see the rumor of Alexei Kolosov. Frank, it's funny when I walked in today, JP after the Anthony Gargano show pulls me aside and goes, "Hey, you know what Sunday is? Sunday, May 19th. It's the 50th anniversary of the Flyers' first cup, which means this time next year will be the 50th anniversary
50 years
of their last cup." And I know we sometimes look at the Flyers with this fatalistic view, but can you blame us?
No, honestly, a lot of good years in between then. Like the 2010s, the 80s, the 90s were awesome. Like honestly, they had a chance in most of those years. It's just, I mean, I think them like just jaded from the last 12 years. And that's like the main thing why this 50's hitting so hard.
The 50 is, I remember when they celebrated their 50th anniversary as a franchise.
Yeah.
And I was
with
looking
those
at
terrible jerseys.
Yeah, with those just, oh man, the joke,
gold-plated,
joke that got me fired from Sons of Penn when I said the jerseys were so ugly. That's what killed Ed Snyder.
That was terrible.
Yeah, but like I was looking ahead, like. 50th anniversary of the franchise. We're going to get to 50th anniversary of the Cup, and unless before May 27th of next year the Flyers lift the Cup, they're going to go 50 years. And it hurts a little. It just... We were talking before the show. Yeah, being a dynasty would be cool, like going on a Chicago type of run or a Colorado, a Tampa Bay kind of run. I just want to see them do it. I just want to see them do it once. And in our lifetime, they've been to 2, Frank. Well, actually, you're a little older than me. So you were alive for 87.
Yeah, I was a baby, yeah.
But in our combined lifetime, they've been to 2 finals. They're 2-8.
Yeah.
It just gives you this feeling about this team. So when I see this Alexei Kolosov rumor yesterday, BelarusHockey.com. I am not here to
tell me that's not a credible source?
I have no idea how legitimate this is.
Yeah.
It is a rumor out of Belarus/Russia that Alexei Kolosov, he's a little homesick. He's having trouble adjusting to the North American lifestyle, maybe the North American game, even though, like, half the KHL plays in North American sized rinks
Same
at this
rink.
point.
Yeah,
like
okay.
there are some. There's like it varies.
Yeah.
The KHL is apparently like baseball. Like there's some Olympic size, there's some NHL size, and there's just some other shit.
And then there's other stuff.
But like I don't think that's what it is. But goddamn, we have this guy coming over, and it was one of the first. Because we're all worried about Michkov, right? And it's okay, we got Fedotov over, Kolosov's coming too, everything's peachy.
You're getting good rumors about Michkov, so you're like,
things are looking up.
Yeah.
And now maybe the top goalie prospect in the organization, there's a possibility, and again, no idea what's true and what isn't. It's just a rumor we saw. I have some tweets I'll read in a minute from some other of the journalists that cover this team, but goddamn, can't we ever catch a break?
Is it wrong that I'm kind of numb to this right now? Like, I like until something actually happens, right? But like, I expect there to be goalie issues. I just expect it. Like, no matter what, whatever the circumstances. So now this it didn't shock me, but again, I don't know, we don't know the sourcing. So I'm going to wait until I get completely crazy.
So the rumor comes out, Kolosov is thinking about returning to the KHL. Maybe he just doesn't like living here. Maybe there's more at play in terms of his path to the NHL. But the most recent updates I've seen, first from Jordan Hall of NBC Sports Philly, I'm hearing Flyers are not aware of anything regarding Alexei Kolosov going back to KHL. The belief is he was homesick, and the hope is he'll be okay. Kolosov, 22, is under contract and played in KHL on loan this season. He joined Phantoms in April. And then Kevin Kurz of The Athletic. Flyers don't know a whole lot about this at this point. I'm told from a team source. Certainly doesn't sound like anything has been decided yet. He also has 2 years left on his entry-level deal, so he can't technically just bolt for the KHL. Now, this is the part that this is what makes me nervous.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we have him, and it's
He's here.
I don't know what goes on in Russia, but we're seeing now with like the IIHF comes down with these sanctions because of the how the Fedotov situation played out.
Right.
And it seems like the Russian Hockey Federation is going, we don't give a shit. Like, yeah, technically Kolosov can't go back and play for the KHL because he's under contract with the Flyers. If he were to just get on a plane and go home,
What are they going to do?
what, we going to send SEAL Team 6 in to kidnap him and bring him back? What's the? He's going to go play. You can't play for them. Yes, I can. We just saw this happen. Fedotov had a contract with the Flyers, and they said, we don't care.
They're going to do whatever they want.
They're going to do whatever they want.
They're going to do whatever they want. That's why though. It's just apropos that this would happen to a Flyers goalie, and he's 22. He's young. He didn't get much playing time with the Phantoms. Maybe that factored in, but again, we don't know all the deals.
That's I think the homesick stuff. Listen, 22 years old.
Yeah.
He's got a chance to pursue his dream playing in the NHL. The NHL is the best league in the world. It's probably at least on the bucket list. Even if you're like, I want to spend I would like to get a shot,
Sure.
Yeah. But he's got to be looking at this like, I'm still only 22. Can always come back.
Yeah.
And that's, who's to say how that would play out, but the Flyers would retain his rights, I assume. That's how it's worked with a lot of guys that have just kind of been like, I'm heading back.
And then they pretty much negate the contract,
You look at his path to the NHL, and I think this might play a part of it. Sam Ersson had his contract extended before last season. He's got a couple more years left. Real good deal, actually, considering what they're going to probably ask from him over the next couple of years. And then they sign Ivan Fedotov to this extension. Like, they got, 2-3 games out of him on his, was supposed to be like a 2-year deal. It ends up being a 1-year deal, and then they have to extend him if they want to keep him because he'd be a UFA. But Kolosov's sitting there like, when do I get to play?
Think it might be a tactic?
I think it could be a combination of, I'm homesick. I want to go home. Listen, if I was 22 and I have dreams of making it in this business, but if you told me you can go be Liam McHugh for the KHL and I had to uproot my whole life and do that, I probably wouldn't.
No, for sure. I think there's definitely that.
I don't know. And the NHL is the big thing, but I got to ride the bus in the AHL. This isn't the dream. You know, living in Allentown. Yeah, Allentown. Yeah, if I'm going to be in my high rise in Center City, living with Joel Farabee, that sounds like fun.
Yeah.
If I'm going to be riding the bus in Allentown,
I mean, maybe if he just has some playing time, you know, like let's just, we were talking about this before, but like Cal Peterson was the goalie, you know, going through the playoffs, which, you know, probably the better
he's
goalie.
The veteran.
Exactly.
It is, and we have no idea. Like Kolosov, I think there's a lot of maybe misconstruing how good he was in the KHL. His numbers are fine.
Yeah.
But you look at where he ranks in terms of like goals against, save percentage. He's 22 playing in maybe the second best league in the world. He's awesome for his age. He hasn't stood out of, like he had like a 907 last year. He's not at the 940, nobody beats me. He's just like, oh, for 22, this is awesome. It's a lot like the Carter Hart projection. Like, oh, there's 22, he's in the NHL and he's pretty freaking good. Like, okay. There's a lot of that, like, well, in a few years when he's in his prime, he'll be awesome. But he is coming over, at least with the thought of, like, I'm pursuing my NHL dream, and now the path is a little blocked.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we actually have like a kind of like a goalie logjam right now, which is kind of, I mean, self-inflicted, but we do.
It's funny because we have this goalie logjam. Like, remember during the season when we're all kind of complaining about the 11-7 that they're going with, and they have 7 defensemen. And it's like, well, for one reason or another, either they're playing well or they're under like we have to play them. Like, it was a good group.
Yeah.
We have no idea what this goalie group is. Not a freaking clue.
Oh, full wild card.
Like,
yeah.
Airson, I am projecting, I think he's good, and given like a normal schedule, we will actually find out what he is. Fedotov, he's 27, 28. Like, we gotta know. But we signed him, we went through all this, so he's here. And now we have this young guy who we think we have plenty of time with, but Russian players always have that option.
Yeah.
I mean, years ago, it's not quite the same anymore, but it's even the reason, you know, Michkov fell in the draft. You're never 100% that these guys are going to be like,
no,
yeah, I'm coming.
Yeah, no, it's very unpredictable with them. I just hope they had a conversation beforehand. And I feel like they are having conversations. Like the Flyers are saying they don't even know what's going on right now. So, you know, this is a crazy report. So have a conversation. Let's see what's going on first.
I did reach out to some people in the organization. Hopefully we're going to be able to have somebody in the front office on next week. Today we could not make happen. Obviously we could, if I'm not bothering Charlie. Listen, if this was Michkov, I'm saying I don't care about your roaming charges.
Yeah,
I'm
let
calling
Charlie
you.
relax.
But since it's like the number 3 goalie at best, I'm going to let him enjoy his.
Yeah.
Listen, Jordan Hall and Kevin Kurtz, I'm fine just reading their tweets. You know, our resident journalist, however, on vacate, he'll be back Monday, and I'm sure we can have a little bit more information. But I think what makes people nervous, because Cole, listen, he's a really good prospect, and we have this guy now in the AHL. He's a guy coming that we think can be really good, maybe a number 1 for this team one day.
Yeah.
But I think the real consternation is like, what does this mean for Michkov? Can they just pull this shit with Michkov?
Only thing that
where
went through
he's
my
like,
mind.
maybe not.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
that's what you're worried about.
It's Russia. It's unpredictable. I mean, that's the only thing that really went through my mind. I don't even know if this Kolosov is going to turn out to be a good goalie.
It's a goalie.
So we don't even know.
Yeah.
But Michkov, I want over here. That kind of our franchise really depends on this. And that just gives me red flags for anything Russian, which is, you know, normal.
Yeah, and listen, you always want to avoid red flags. It's huge in any business venture, especially when you're choosing a banking partner and you think maybe, you know, I want to go with one of the big banks. I want to be secure. I want to know that like this major corporate bank has my best interests at heart. It's good. My money's going to be there. I think a lot of people learned over the last couple weeks, couple months, that might not be the case, and it's opened people's eyes to credit unions like Trumark Financial. I've told you a few times recently, we had an opportunity to meet with some of the leaders over at Trumark recently, and they really kind of helped break down what differentiates them from the major banks and the differences in a bank and a credit union. And when you join a credit union like TrueMark Financial, you become part owner, which means profits come back to you instead of going to shareholders. You can also get better rates, lower fees, a better return on savings, and more flexible options with the same digital tools and tech to make our lives easier. TrueMark, maybe the most important thing about them, they've got local roots. They're headquartered in Fort Washington, and they have 24 branches in the Philly area. They serve our community and our people right here at home. Becoming a member of a credit union has so many benefits over being a customer at a bank. Almost kind of seems like a no-brainer. Head over to truemark.com/PHLY to learn more or find a branch near you. That's TRUMARK.com/PHLY. Federally insured by the NCUA. And it's just... First, it's just the most Flyers shit ever. I knew something was going to happen while Charlie was away. I was really crossing my fingers. We got good news on Michkov.
Yeah, that would have been
nice.
nice.
It's like we got news that we have no idea how legitimate it is about another Russian prospect who we really kind of just wanted to see. But you've heard me talk. We've talked about this off the air. I kind of want to go with 3 goalies this year. And the idea at first was I want a Brian Elliott type veteran who doesn't have to play a ton, but if Erson, just gets a little banged up and maybe Fedotov's having a rough time. He goes through a little rough stretch. We saw like Erson did at the start of last season. Throw the vet in there for a week and give everyone...
love that idea.
Now, I don't think you can. I think now the strategy has to be telling Kolosov, you are the Phantoms guy. You're our number one with the Phantoms. We're rolling with you. We're giving you the playing time. And you're our number 3.
I completely agree. I mean, what else we were talking about this too. Like, what are we going to see from this team this year? What are we looking forward to this year? I mean, we have to sort out the goalie mess. That's for sure. So put him in as you said, Phantoms number 1, let him go. Swing third goalie, get him up here. If somebody goes on a bad run, you have Kolosov going in there. I think that's probably the best way to get like the best of both worlds and actually get a full on evaluation of this guy. Because I mean, otherwise he's going to jet.
That's even if it's not right now. Like maybe they can smooth this over and have the conversation with him. It's putting in my mind we're going to have to maybe make some concessions for this dude if we want to keep him around.
Yeah.
And considering there is the Michkov situation, there's also Igor Zavragin, another goalie prospect who's hopefully going to come over at some time in the near future. Now, he's very young. He's got plenty of time. But I don't want to create a situation where it's very funny that the Flyers, after 60 years, are now this organization that is like leaning hard into Russia at maybe the worst possible
time.
Geopolitical time, at least in our lifetime.
Yep, for sure.
And it's everything just seems so up in the air. Like more than Kolosov, I think it's just the broad. We have so much riding on this.
But it's not just complementary pieces. These could be main pieces.
Like one of these 2 goalies could be our number 1,
exactly.
and Michkov is the jewel of the rebuild.
Right, exactly.
Like, they might draft higher next year. They might get a steal in this year's year, whatever. Anything can happen. Like maybe Denver Barkey's just fucking awesome. But right now,
once you lost,
it's Matvei Michkov and everyone else.
Once you lost Cutter, this is it. This is the focus.
This is who it's about. The entire thing is about these guys.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Again, I don't know how much time we should spend on what is a rumor from BelarusHockey.com.
Yeah, never know.
But it is a thing to keep an eye on. Hopefully we're able to get actual answers from on-the-record sources in the organization in the coming days and weeks. I am working on getting those for you right on this show. Charlie, I'm sure, even on vacation, is working behind the scenes, sending texts. And obviously, there's other people on the job as well. We'll figure it out. That brings us to F Around Friday, Frankie. And that's why I wanted to bring you in today. I've said a few times, I love my job. And the boss, Vince, we were working out how these 8 shows without Charlie were going to go. And I was like scheduling Kelly, get JP in here. I love working with them. I was like, but on the final day, the 8th show, my buddy Frankie's going to come in. He just goes, I trust you. I was like, I have dubbed Fridays in the summer F around Fridays.
Yeah.
And I was like, well,
His name begins
it's
with F.
Frankie.
It's
the
perfect.
Flyers. He's my friend. This is perfect. And the thing I want to talk about today is fights and fighters, man. And we have some good ones to talk about. And one of the stories I want to tell is the year you and I had season tickets.
Yeah.
And you end up getting the playoff tickets that year. I was in college in 2009 and had no money. And so you end up getting these playoff tickets, and I don't go to what was Game 6, Round 1,
Yep.
Flyers, Penguins. And you and your brother go to the game. I'm outside talking to scalpers. One of the best lines I've ever heard. I was this close, man. One of the best lines I've ever been given by anyone is a sales job. Scalper goes, man, treat yourself. Don't cheat yourself. And I was like, fuck.
Still use that today.
That's good, man.
Yeah, that
I
is
am
good.
going to say that a lot.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I just look at my bank account. I was like, I can't get home. I'm in the Flyers parking lot. I can't get on the sub. I can't. There's no way I could buy a
it's driving
Flyer.
you back anyway, so.
There's no way I could buy
Yeah.
a Flyers playoff ticket. So I don't end up going to the game, but I do watch it on TV while you're there. And that game is famous for one thing.
Oh, my God.
Cam Talbot, 3-0 when that fight occurs. And while Carcillo beat the shit out of him.
Oh, destroyed him.
And the place, like you were there,
Yeah.
but on television, you could tell it was madness.
No, the place was insane. And again, like you're kind of caught up in the moment, so you don't really understand like, oh, wow, Carcillo should not have fought at that moment.
Yeah.
Right? So you're like completely jacked, Carcillo's, going nuts as he usually does. And then everything starts to turn. And that's when you kind of like, you had a really good feeling.
Because on the broadcast, they said it right away.
They said it right away.
Why is he doing this?
I watched it again on YouTube, and I'm like, again, in my head, that was a beating. All right. Talbot
killed him.
Talbot got destroyed. And then on the broadcast, they're like, well, this is not really smart for Carcillo here. And I'm thinking, yeah, okay, looking back on it, now the crowd was going absolutely ballistic. And we were having such a good time. I mean, we were up 3-0. We're going
Forcing game 7.
We're going to game 7. Easy. And then just a great move on Talbot, shushing the crowd. That's something you see later on.
It's one of those things
Oh my
that
God.
like you see at the time, and you're like, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
And then it all works out, and you're like, oh my God. This guy knew exactly.
So that's why fighting is important.
Yeah, like is it always, listen, you all know how I feel about fighting. I mean, there's a Frank Bialowas bobblehead right behind me. He's my all-time favorite hockey player. But like, there's times to do it and times not to. And maybe even at that point, I didn't fully understand.
Yeah.
And that was he didn't do it to beat up Dan Carcillo. He did it to make everyone on the bench go, well, what the fuck can I do?
Yeah.
And they responded right away.
I mean, like,
next thing you know,
instantly.
the Flyers are now the Flyers are eliminated.
Yep.
And I was maybe never happier that I didn't spend a bunch of money I didn't have.
I mean, that was the best financial move on your part.
In a lifetime of bad ones.
That was pretty good. I do remember, and we were talking about this before the game, so one of the things that jogs my memory is I think I told like a kid on the way out because I was just so disgusted. I was like, man, please don't be a Flyers fan. It's just nothing but heartache going on. That was, 14 years ago? Like, that kid's probably in college. And
15, yeah.
Yeah, 15. Like, that probably translated better than I thought, but like, that was one of the crushing losses I've had as a Flyers fan, especially in the last like 20 years.
It's just like you think to the year before in 08, they go to the East Final.
Exactly.
And they lose to the Penguins. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, man, we ran into Crosby. What are you going to do? And then we run into them in the first round the following year. And it's kind of more the same. But then suddenly there's life in Game 6.
Yeah.
And then
Gone.
snatched.
3-0. You're up 3-0 too. Like,
It was a rough one.
yeah, that was bad.
You know what, Cam Talbot, listen, he won the fight in terms of the reaction.
Yeah.
But he did take a beating, and you might be thinking to yourself, he probably could have protected himself a little better.
Probably.
Well, you need to protect yourself and your family by staying up to date on your immunizations.
That's a good one.
When I can get Bryn to laugh, I know
That's a
good.
good one.
Rite Aid pharmacists are specifically trained, certified immunizers. Most vaccines that you can get at Rite Aid, they're no cost with insurance or through government plans like Medicare Part D. And if you're unsure about what vaccines you need, you can get a personalized recommendation from a Rite Aid pharmacist. If you have questions about vaccines, you got to just stop in and ask a Rite Aid pharmacist. Book a vaccine appointment today. You can schedule for yourself or for your whole family at riteaid.com/schedule. State, age, and health restrictions may apply. Ask a Rite Aid pharmacist for details. Rite Aid pharmacists in Pennsylvania can immunize ages 18 plus 1 day for most vaccines and ages 3 plus for flu and COVID-19. Rite Aid pharmacists can vaccinate for COVID, shingles, pneumonia, tetanus, whooping cough, chickenpox, and more. You got to visit Rite Aid vaccine centers today. Select Rite Aid stores have a dedicated pharmacist ready to administer vaccines and answer all your questions. Have questions on what immunizations you need? Not sure if you're up to date? Feeling nervous to ask questions? A Rite Aid pharmacist will take the time to make personalized recommendations based on your health history and discuss any concerns. No questions are too small. Just walk in or schedule an appointment Monday to Friday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. State, age, and health restrictions may apply. Ask a Rite Aid pharmacist for details. So that's one of the more bummer fights of our Flyers fandom. I guess I always want to call these things recent history, and they're well over a decade ago at this point.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, because the good times just stick with you a little bit more. You forget how bad the last decade's been.
I do want to tell a story now, though, because earlier this week was the 14th anniversary of Game 7 against Boston, so I got the excellent opportunity to retell what is really just part one of the Milwaukee story.
That's amazing.
This is it's F Around Friday, people.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if this isn't like what you were looking for, but I get the bullshit with my buddy today. So that means, it was actually yesterday is the 14th anniversary of Game 1 against Montreal in the Eastern Conference Final. The Flyers won 6-0 that day. I told the story of the Boston game, the TGI Fridays at Miller Park. Well, that Sunday is Game 1. Why wouldn't we go back and do the exact same thing?
Got to keep it going.
And the Flyers just wreck shit.
Yeah.
They absolutely dominate Montreal. So those world's best Long Island iced teas, we put down quite a few.
Yeah. And shots were involved in it.
There was
like a shot tray going on there.
There's all sorts of things. But the Flyers win that game. It's Cole Hamels on the mound against Milwaukee. We're just feeling good. They win the first 2 games of that series. Flyers, we go out to catch the baseball game after the Flyers win, and we're feeling good. And the thing about everyone in Milwaukee is they're the nicest people in the world.
Oh, I love them.
Like, people were coming up to us like, we love Philly fans. We think it's awesome how diehard you guys are. Like, found nothing but the nicest people in Milwaukee.
I mean, they were rooting with us.
Yes.
Which was awesome.
Until that Sunday, when we were probably a little belligerent. And now it's 80s weekend, that's why we went. They were going to wear the powder blues.
Yeah.
On Sunday, they gave away Hank Aaron bobbleheads. We are talking so much shit in the stands. It is me. All of a sudden, like, people are just yelling back, and you guys have no idea what this would be. If I was an opposing fan in Philly right now, people would be throwing shit at me. And then
asking for it.
And then it's like a movie. 1 bobblehead head.
Yep.
2 bobbleheads. Suddenly, debris is raining down on us. And eventually, the people, I still blame that group of Milwaukee fans behind us for starting it.
Yeah, they were.
But they get escorted out by security. I'm like, I got away with this. An actual cop comes up to the seats to escort. No one else in the group, mind you. I'm with like 7 other people. Only I got kicked out.
Well, you're the loudest.
Well, yeah.
Just so you know.
I get escorted. This was right after, like, don't tase me, bro. I asked this Milwaukee police officer who's escorting me out skating. I was, so you got a taser? He goes, no, I have a fucking gun. Keep your mouth shut. And he's just walking me out. And now I'm like right behind the Milwaukee fans who got kicked out with us. We see them in the parking lot. My group of friends followed me out to make sure nothing happened. And I go up to the people and I said, great game, and shook their hands. I have never had my balls busted worse than when I did that. Listen, I think it's all in the game. Like, in between the lines,
you're good.
It's like the handshake line in hockey, man.
Yep.
The buzzer ends, and then we all go back to our lives. But that was... I don't know if any of my friends have ever been closer to beating me up, because we got kicked out of the game and everyone got pelted with a bunch of shit because of this situation.
Yeah, because we were already riding high. You know, Phillies were crushing, Flyers were doing amazing. And,
But I
mean, I guess that kind of was a cherry on top for the whole entire.
Yeah,
it was a
of course.
sports weekend anyway.
We went to Milwaukee
Yeah,
for the...
we
Oh,
had
what a
to.
great story. We went to Milwaukee and drank Millers.
Yeah, and
but
we
really, you
came
should drink
home.
ice cold Coors Light, fam.
Yeah, they were delicious.
Yeah. I had to get that one in there.
That was incredible.
But I just, since I got to tell part one of the story, I don't know if I've ever got to tell part two of that. But I want to talk about some actual on-ice fights. Something you and I, and Kelly, have in common so much is our just absolute love of Mike Richards.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, he scored a ton of clutch goals. He was just fun to watch, open ice hits. But goddamn, he was just not afraid of anybody.
Dude, he played so hard. It just was the epitome of a... I mean, they called it early as...
Next captain.
Next captain.
Probably,
and he was.
Probably part of what went wrong.
Yeah.
You maybe anointed him a little too
Maybe
soon.
a little too much pressure on it from the beginning. But, I mean, the way he played on the ice, though, he was captain level. There's no doubt about it.
And I think you and I need to accept some responsibility here in front of all of our
I didn't know
fine
you were going
listeners.
to bring this up, and I wasn't going to myself. Okay.
It's that 08 season.
Yeah.
It's that first year. It's back with a vengeance. Jason Smith is the captain. They bring in Briere.
Yep.
Bring in my guy Lassi Kukkonen. They have that great offseason, teaming in Hartnell, the whole deal. We're watching Mike Richards, and we buy some jerseys. We both got the Reebok Edge Black Flyers jerseys.
I got the white one.
You got the white.
I
Yeah.
think I like the white one.
We got the Reebok Edge jerseys, and from the day they draft Mike Richards, they say he's the next captain. He's an assistant at this point. Mm-hmm. We both threw the C on that.
Yeah, we did. I take full responsibility for what happened to the Mike Richards era, but I mean, I thought it was a slam
We
dunk.
weren't wrong.
I mean, he was the captain.
He was named captain the next year.
Yeah.
But do you think that might have been a little bit of a jinx?
100%. And I know, Charlie doesn't believe in jinxes and all this stuff. I'm very superstitious, especially playoff time. I think it was actually part of it.
When I talk, it's going to be 50 years since a cup on May 27th, 2025 next year. Mm-hmm. To Sunday, May 19th is the 50th anniversary of the first cup.
God, that's when the cup ended.
50 years. Yeah.
End of May? All right.
Middle of May.
Yeah.
It's hard not, I just see something like top Flyers goalie prospect might just be going home. Hard
That's why I said I'm numb to it.
Hard not to believe in jinxes or luck or curses or whatever a little bit when this shit just keeps happening.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think, going to the finals as much as we did, the 80s, the 90s, 2000, and we just never win one of them. Never. We always run into juggernauts. It seems like we didn't have our Tampa Bay Ray.
No.
We're going to win this one.
76. What Montreal win 4 in a row?
Yeah.
80. The Islanders win 4 in a row.
And the Oilers.
The Oilers win 5 of 7. 2 of them are against you.
Yep.
The Red Wings
Juggernaut.
won back-to-back. They're one of the great, that's their run from 95 when they lost through 02 is unbelievable. And then Chicago, who it was the first of their how do we not just run into a goddamn the year Montreal just makes it because things are stupid?
And this is where our negativity comes out because 2004, we beat Tampa. We go against Calgary. We are winning the Stanley Cup.
There's not a question in my mind.
We just didn't get over that hump, and it's just always some random fluky thing that we dashes our hopes, and so it is a little bit of a Negadelphia.
But how do you How do you not believe in a curse a little? I mean, even just 5% of you.
That's why I'm never going to do that again. Nobody's ever getting to see beforehand. You got to earn that nowadays.
But yeah, Mike Richards, the fight I always think of with him is it his rookie year against Ovi?
Yes, it was, because I looked that up. That was awesome.
First of all, why is Ovechkin fighting at all?
He was a little feisty, though.
But that's the range of dudes Mike Richards would fight He would take star fights. He would fight fighters. I will just never forget the Penguins calling him out.
Oh, yeah.
And saying, like, Crosby's like, he's got to fight Matt Cook. And he goes, yeah, all right, I'll do that when you fight fucking Carcillo. Yeah. But next game he fights Cook anyway.
Yeah.
And it's a fight that they used in commercials forever. Cook's going down, and he catches him with that uppercut. Like, he was a badass, man.
Well, Richard did it all, and I think as like, you know, obviously a Philadelphia Flyers fan, we love the fights, but like amazing on the penalty kill. Like this guy's going to score and we
2 5-on-3 goals in one season.
Exactly. We love the penalty kill. Like if you do well on that, like I mean, how about TK this year? Everybody loved TK because of how good he was on the penalty kill. Richards did it all, and going through the list of like when you put this on the sheet, and I'm like, okay, who did he fight? I'm like, all right, Avery, Ovechkin. Like, I'm going down the list. I'm like, this guy fought anybody. It didn't really matter. I loved it.
No, it did. And, did he win every fight? No, but he worked his ass off.
Yeah.
And he wasn't afraid. Like, you know, he fought Sean Avery multiple times.
Oh,
he mixed it up with a lot of dudes. And that's someone, Kelly and I were talking about this yesterday with Richards. People are like, just kind of joking. But are you guys ever going to stop talking about this guy?
No. Till we win a cup.
When they give me someone better. Mm-hmm. And like, was Giroux a better player? Yeah. Yeah. Like Giroux was, he scored 100 points. He was an MVP candidate a couple of times. He was the best player.
And I love G.
on those teams.
Yeah.
Basically from 2011 on. Basically from the time Pronger gets hurt on, he's the best player.
Oh, 100%.
Even the year before. I mean, he had like 76 points when Richards and Carter were still there that one year. Richie was not the best player, but he was everyone's favorite.
I mean, he could play any phase of the game.
Exactly the way.
Yeah. Power play, penalty kill. Like, he played every phase of the game. That's why he always got his points. But then literally did everything. Let's fight anybody. And he knew when to fight them.
I was just looking up, like, his career post Flyers the other. And, like, obviously he wins the couple of cups.
You did that to yourself?
Yeah. But you know what's funny? He didn't score at all with LA, but it wasn't his role.
Yeah.
But they definitely acquired him to score. I think his high post Flyers was like 44 points or something. He had several point-a-game seasons, 70 plus. He scored 30 goals a couple times here. 18 goals, like 40 points was what he did for them.
I mean, we were talking about it earlier.
And then it was
those
just
teams were stacked. The Flyers, I mean, LA was stacked, obviously. You know, they won the cup.
But they just played a different way.
Right. We had some, like, you had Danny, you had even Couturier when he was, like, younger. But, like, I mean, he just had some better talent. We should have won a cup with him.
I always say if I could do one thing, and there's lots of things we could do in Flyers history, like, I don't know. If I could go back in time, I would just bring Eric Lindros a fucking synergy. You know, like, here you go, man. You can skate with your head up now. But if they could just run it back one more, and if it doesn't work, you can still get rid of everyone, and you didn't have to commit $50 million to Briz along the way. Like, if you could just run it back one more year with that group before you blow it up, and maybe you move on from Lavi. Like, because you did it, you got rid of him anyway.
Yeah, I know, like, that year when they lost to Boston, they just gave up.
They did quit.
And then
they absolutely did quit. And Richie ducked out on the media, and you and I both kind of said, like, you can't do that. I did not
like that at all.
Like,
and I was a little, that got me a little nuts. So then when he got traded, I didn't know about Carter. I didn't think we really need to do
Carter didn't know. Well, that was always like, let's split them up. Yeah. Like, maybe they'll split them up, and then one of them, and like, look, Jeff Carter did ultimately mature and become a different guy, and like, he's by all accounts like a family guy now, you know?
No, he's
like,
a great guy.
We always said, and that's part of the reason, like, we were the perfect age. Like, those dudes were basically our age at the time. Like, I'm in college. Like, give me $50 million at 22 and let's see what happens.
I'll be partying in Seattle too.
You think I wouldn't have a house with a slide on the bay in Seattle?
I think I'm getting nuts in Seattle. Yeah, that's exactly
what I want to do now. I'm 36 with a wife.
That'd be awesome.
You know, and it's a shame they couldn't do it, but it'll always be a what if. Thank God we had Utley. Because we had those two at basically the same time, and at least one of them came through for us.
Yeah, I agree.
It just was like, we get both. And no.
Could have been amazing.
No, we didn't. One of my favorite stories of hockey fandom with you it's not watching the Flyers Sens brawl. It is years later for I think like a Christmas episode I think we did of Broad Street Hockey when we recorded
this was fun.
We recorded a drunk history of the Flyers Senators brawl. And me and Frank go out in the city that night, just get absolutely ridiculous.
I mean, we leaned into it.
And then I decide, Frankie, we're only gonna use the audio, but we're gonna put on the Flyers Senators brawl, and I'm just gonna like tell this story.
Yeah.
And it was one of our most downloaded episodes ever because of how fucking ridiculous I was, and like you and I
The
just
passion
made
against
that happen.
Ottawa really came out.
And to this day, like, listen, I am a Claude Giroux fan. I think the time's like I don't want him back. I think the time's over.
Yeah.
But if he was on literally almost any team but the Devils, I would be rooting for him. Like, oh, yeah, I want to see Giroux make the playoffs, go on a little run. He worked his ass off here. He was the best player on bad teams forever. Drug us to the playoffs plenty of times when we probably had no business. I'm rooting for you. I can't do it. I hate the Senators so much.
I mean, yeah, that's just kind of a weird organization anyway. Like, they're not even, like, relevant either. And then they're
an irrelevant Canadian team.
Exactly. Which
That's
is
weird.
Kind of hard to do.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, I'm with you. But that brawl was, oh my God, that was just insane. That was just so much fun. I love when goalies fight. You're gonna see it coming up. Like the
goalie fights are the absolute best.
So good.
My absolute favorite. This was the '97 AHL playoffs. I've tweeted it a few times. It's available on YouTube. The Phantoms and Bears just had one of the all-time great line brawls. And I can't remember who the Bears goalie was, but he comes down. You don't see this whole thing on the video because it kind of like cuts. I think it might be like a fan cam or something. But like it cuts around. But what happened was the Bears goalie comes all the way down and challenges Neil Little. And Neil Little's like, not begging off, but like, okay. Just like slowly takes off some of his equipment and then just pounds the dude. Like everyone knows the other highlight, Neil Little years later, of like the flying into the pile.
Yeah, that was good.
But this fight was just like, if you say so. Like he was almost giving the guy, you don't want to do this.
Yeah.
Like if you've seen Goon when Sean William Scott's like hurt or suspended or something, and the big fighter, like the old guy on the on his team, like challenges the big fighter in the league, and he's like,
okay,
all right, you know what's gonna happen, right? It's like we have to do it. All right, like that was Neil Little.
Yeah,
but the best goalie fight we have had in, again, I guess recent history, the Ray Emery fight.
Oh my God,
that was
I watched that again too.
Fucking ridiculous. Like he just loved to fight. Ray Emery absolutely just loved to fight and was looking for...
He was really good at it, too. For a
like
goalie.
when he got here and he had... Who did he have on... It was Rocky and Joe Louis on his helmet.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, yeah. I mean, he played into it perfectly.
And then the line brawl happens, and you could just tell he was like... Yup,
my favorite...
My time has come.
My favorite is Holtby, like, looking terrified.
He's like, no. And he just goes, cover up. Better protect yourself. Get those Rite Aid vaccines. Like, better protect yourself. Like, that was an all-time goalie
I mean, Flyers
fight.
were down 7-0. Sometimes that's when, like, I mean, again, perfect timing. Wasn't that all right? So
that changed the season.
Well, that was the season they went 0-3 and fired Laviolette, right?
I believe so.
I think it is. So they literally turned around the entire season.
13, yeah.
Yeah, because they had that like line fight and people were talking about it afterwards and like, oh, Ray Emery shouldn't have went after Holtby.
Ray Emery should be in jail for that. I'm like, I don't know, it's hockey.
It's hockey.
Assault is basically legal.
You know,
like you can go like this to a guy with a weapon and it's like, I don't know, 5?
Yeah.
2? Like assault's basically legal out there. But it was
sticks, you know.
It's just something we never see anymore.
No. Not like full on, like when a goalie's skating down the ice ready to. It is one of the most exhilarating things in hockey. I'm sorry. Like,
it's growing up, like we showed the picture of our street hockey days. That was the thumbnail coming into today's show. If Bryn can bring it out. Yeah, Frank's in the middle there. I'm on the end. Frankie, you were our goalie. You were the street hockey goalie.
Yeah.
And your guy
Ron
was
Hextall.
27. Yeah, Ron Hextall, man.
I mean,
and listen, the rookie year, the Cup final, all that. Wins the Conn Smythe in a losing, blah, blah, blah. We loved him because he was a bad motherfucker.
Oh, 100%. And you got to remember, too, this is obviously late 90s, so this is like second time, later Ron Hextall.
This is probably like 96, 97.
This has got to be about the time they made that Cup run with Hex. He is like an older guy. And all we saw were and heard from our dads and stuff was and then we saw the video clips of him chopping Chelios, and I'm like, this guy was a maniac. He would have been
He would
have been kicked out of the league.
Oh yeah,
today's game.
You imagine the Chelios incident happening today, where now we see I don't know if you saw the Elias Pettersson reverse hit. I definitely think that was a penalty. People are like, is that charging if he's standing still?
Yeah.
I'm like, he did leap into him. I do think that was a penalty, but we see that now and it's we see these hits and it's the craziest debate.
Yeah.
Ron Hextall just skated out of his net and jumped a guy.
And chopped him with a stick. And
he just started beating the shit out of him.
He was just the perfect psycho to be a goalie. And we know a lot of goalies growing up.
They're all insane.
They're all
out of their minds.
There's something wrong with goalies. That's why I guess I didn't become a goalie because I'm probably the most normal one.
No, it's when a goalie, you hear them talk and they're kind of normal. It's like, ugh.
You're not a good goalie.
I don't know if you got it, bro.
I don't think you're a good goalie.
I don't think you have what it takes. It's like closers. And that's the thing I loved about Sam Ersson this year was I think he has that short memory thing where it was, I had a bad game.
Yeah.
So be it. And then he'd come out the next game and be better. But you look at some of the Papelbon, man.
Oh, yeah.
A psychopath. Also
insane.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I think that's what it takes to be a goalie.
On those.
You have to be a lunatic, and we've seen a bunch of them.
Yeah. Even professionally. Look at, Bob was a little goofy. He really didn't know what was going on because he couldn't speak English at the time.
But you just see, Ron Hextall, again, I think his tenure as general manager was an absolute disaster.
That left a little bit of a sour taste.
The possible destruction of the Pittsburgh Penguins has redeemed him a bit in my mind. Mm-hmm. But I think I've been pretty good at separating player and GM.
Yeah.
Shit, man, Bobby Clark.
Well, as time goes on.
Bobby Clark is the greatest Flyer of all time. He's one of the best hockey players of all time. He was not a good general manager.
No.
He spent a ton of money, and they were always relevant. They were good teams. They were cup contenders. But, you had an unlimited budget and went to one final.
Yeah. No, I think time heals all in this situation.
Sure.
And I feel Hextall, Hextall's always going to have a special place in my heart. That guy is a Flyer through and through. I didn't like that he went to the Penguins in the beginning. But, again, it's a job. It's what you're professional. But I think time's going to heal on that GM job. I mean, once we're good again, all will be forgiven. Once we're good again, we're still not good from the Hextall era. So I can't forgive him completely
once we can just put that era behind us. But it's one of the second highest paid guy on the team is his first pick.
Yeah, Travis
Sanheim. Mm-hmm. It's still, the era still remains.
Oh, yeah.
It's still that.
Still have Sanheim.
Jay O'Brien is still a thing that happened.
Oh, my God.
We're going to make the second round pick we got for not signing Jay O'Brien because he stinks this year. The Hextall, it's hard to put it completely behind you when it's still going on.
Yeah.
But I absolutely want to see a day. And, listen, if fucking Lindros can come back.
Oh, I mean, Hextall
Lindros' parents accused Bobby Clark of trying to kill him. Ron Hextall just made some bad moves.
Yeah.
I think we could ultimately heal that wound if the team is just good again. Who gives a shit?
It doesn't matter. We'll forgive anybody.
We accepted Mitch Williams again in this town.
100%. He was one of the best post-game guys.
He was hilarious.
He was great.
He's nuts.
Yeah.
But we were welcome back.
No, it didn't
Good
matter.
to see you again, 99.
Honestly, just win, turn around, be competitive, get back, get back. We're watching these amazing playoffs, and, we were talking about we're 4 years out, probably going to be 5 years out. Give us some winning hockey, and then we'll get the tradition back. Because every time you talk about the old Flyers, everybody's like, I don't want to hear it. Because, it's not relevant
It's like
right
we
now.
talk with, the toughness and the culture thing that we talk about. ultimately the first thing you have to do is have a really good team and then figure out the intangibles.
Yeah.
Like, you know what no one's going to give a shit about? If we hire another ex-Flyer and we've been to like 4 of the last 6 conference finals, you know? Like, it's you know what the old thing, the Flyers, tradition, family, they fucking won a ton.
Yeah.
Like in the 70s and 80s, they won all the time.
Always in like the Eastern Conference Finals.
Forget like, you know, we have the same people and we're this family. The tradition was winning. And so everything that came from that was cool. Yeah. Now they lose all the time, so we're mad about it. We won't be as mad if they don't fucking suck for a decade.
And everybody can come back.
Yeah, everyone can come back. Bring them all back.
Bring them all back.
Garth Snow can be the GM for all I can. Like, cool.
Bring them back.
You know? But I want to be competitive, and maybe you're looking to compete a little. These playoffs are going on. They've been a ton of fun, but we don't have that skin in the game with the Flyers. You want a little action. Get that action at BetParx, baby. We're brought to you by the BetParx Sportsbook app. And money, where is the money? The money's in the moments. What events are coming up? Events every single day, big ones, whether it's the Stanley Cup Playoffs. You can get all your futures there, game-to-game bets, props, money lines, everything. The NBA playoffs are going on. Baseball every single day. How are you not betting on the Phils? My God, they're going to win like 140 games this year, I think. That's probably doable. I bet you can still get their win total. Whatever it is at BetParx, you can win big with all-day action. And if you win your first $10 bet, you can earn $125 in sports bonus bets. Listen, you play for fun. You love to win. You bet. Download the app and play along with us. Must be 21 or older. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Since I brought up the Phillies, I think it's about time I tell you about what's going on tomorrow. We have a big old tailgate party going on, baby. It is going to be an awesome time with the Phillies, the entire crew, down at the Jetro lot, Saturday, May 18th. So you got to go to allphly.com right now and RSVP to this thing. It's brought to you. We're going to have Cavs catering. The food spread is going to be outstanding. Olipop's going to be there. They're going to be trying some mixed drinks. Frankie, you were here for our watch party when we were trying Olipop mixed drinks. You're not a soda guy. But you like the Olipop mixed drinks.
Oh, they're
How'd
incredible.
you like that tequila and strawberry vanilla?
That was so good.
That's real nice.
That was so good.
Real good. You can try it all. You can hang out with Renee, hang out with Jamie, the entire crew, the official PHLY Phillies tailgate, Saturday, May 18th. RSVP right now. It's going to be a ton of freaking fun, man. No, we throw a good party. I know we're still kind of new. We're in the scene, but we're not like an institution the way a lot of the other media outlets are. This is a place that hired me. You think they don't know how to throw a party? Come on now. Happy F Around Friday, everybody. So some other just kind of things I want to talk about. We got a question yesterday, I believe, or maybe a couple days. It all runs together. But like what I think the future of Nic Deslauriers is on this team. Now listen, is Nic Deslauriers a guy who's going to help you win a championship? No. But as someone, again, we talked about this with Garnett Hathaway, like when Charlie told me about the Hathaway signing, he was like, buddy, we have to watch every game and he's going to make it more fun.
Yeah.
I like the fights. I like the violence. Nic Deslauriers, I don't know how much he should or will play, but when he plays, there's a chance something good's going to happen. That Rempe fight last year, highest rated fight on hockeyfights.com from the last season. I wonder if I haven't looked, but like I bet Kachuk Pasternak passes it just because it's such a big fucking deal, and it was so violent.
Yeah,
but these two, this was a old school fight.
Nicky D gave up 6 inches to Rempe too, and landed every shot. It was insane. That was I remember being pumped up at the time.
Yeah.
But then rewatching it, I'm like, this is like a 90s fight. Like each of them landed every shot to the head. Like it was violent. It was a violent fight. It was awesome.
And he won.
Yeah, he did.
And that's I wanted to if we had gone a little further, I was going to use the Rempe needs to protect himself to set up Rite Aid because. Man, he is an entertaining fighter.
Oh, yeah.
He has no idea.
No.
If he ever learns, he's going to be the heavyweight champion of the world.
Yeah.
Like, he's going to be undefeated for a decade.
I wonder what his off-season program is going to look like this year.
That's like, he probably needs to get a little better at hockey too,
Yeah,
and stop like
yeah,
getting
probably.
suspended all the time. Like,
Yeah.
stop charging every shift.
Yeah.
But like, if he ever just learns how to use his size that way, he's going to destroy guys. But
Look, I give him credit for going, like, Nicky D's like probably one of the best fighters in the league. I mean, if not the best. Right? It's got to be, he's got to be
him,
right there.
Reeves. There's a couple of guys, but
he's right there.
he's a contender.
Deslauriers absolutely rocked him too. And
Yeah.
that was such a good fight. I mean, again, we had a lot, positives this year overall, and it was nice that we actually had like a legitimate fight. Sometimes the fights,
You see a
last
lot
couple
of them,
years,
and
they
like
kind of just tie each other up.
there's a lot of like, and honestly, like Deslauriers has a lot of those.
Yeah.
There was a Pat
Yeah.
Maroon fight.
Who the hell wants to
first,
fight him?
the first Pat Maroon fight this season. He had two, I think. The first one, Maroon accepts the fight. He's like, yeah, all right. And like, this is Pat Maroon. He's
Yeah.
a great fucking fighter.
Yeah, he's real good.
He was just like, no, no, you're not beating me up today. Like, and it's one of the reasons. I mean, you talk about dudes who just have the balls, man. Nic Deslauriers. It's one of the reasons Nic Deslauriers got the look he did.
Yeah.
He went toe to toe with Deslauriers and represented himself pretty well.
Yeah.
And now we have Deslauriers and we watch him. It's like nobody really gets the best of him. Like, he
No.
might not beat the shit out of everyone every fight, but like, he doesn't get beaten up.
No, I mean, and again, I feel like he's just on a team with not enough good players. But if we had like a very good team and he was on it, like, this would be the most entertaining team because they could do it. Like, you just need a team that could score. And then if you mess with somebody, you mess with Michkov, you got Deslauriers right there. Like, that's
I
the
do
point.
get it. I will say, like, I was looking up something. I forgot what it was, but it was Jacob Trouba. I took a run at somebody at one point this season, and Deslauriers on the ice.
Okay.
And now Deslauriers is literally grabbing onto him as Trouba makes his way up ice. Like, has him. Has a grip of his jersey. And Trouba just fucking rocks Hathaway.
Yeah.
Just clean hit, but just
Yeah,
bang.
yeah.
Knocks him down hard. And I was like, there's no deterrent factor.
No,
Like,
no.
But part of hockey is I don't even care about the deterrent. I want an eye for an eye.
Yeah.
Like, if you do that, even if it's a clean hit, I want to see you face some pain as well. And
Yeah.
that's just kind of part of hockey.
I mean,
It's not like that in any other sport, but it's also what I love about hockey. You don't
for
just get
sure.
away with shit.
we
You
just
always have to answer.
did a whole show on fighting because it's such a big part of the game. Like,
You always have to answer.
Yeah.
And that was, I wanted to bring up Wayne Simmons is another guy.
Yeah.
Maybe he didn't win every fight, but you rarely saw him get beat up.
yeah.
And maybe my favorite Wayne Simmons, there was a time in the playoffs, he just lost it on Tom Wilson, and I was just so happy. And like, it wasn't a smart fight. It wasn't like a good idea, but it was like, I don't care. It probably felt so good punching him in the face.
Yeah.
Great. But he took this fight, Wayne Simmons, with Jamie Alexiak, who's like Chara's size. And he had he just had no chance. The guy was so much bigger than him, but that's not what mattered. What mattered was he did it. And
Yeah.
that gets us all the way back to the Talbot fight. It doesn't even matter if you win. In fact, it's almost like taking on a fight you can't win is almost better than like just beating someone up because you can, like
Takes a
Carcillo.
smart. Talbot was a very smart because we had him, the years.
I
after.
love that guy.
It was great. He's such a smart player. It takes a very smart player to know when to fight, and then as soon as he found Carcillo was willing, he's like, "Oh, perfect. This is like the best opportunity I could have asked for."
Putting that guy like.
And I love Carcillo. I'll go to the grave for Carcillo. I love that dude.
Oh yeah, Carcillo was great.
Yeah.
I am a John Stevens fan.
Yeah.
I like that guy.
Yeah.
Putting Carcillo on the ice after that goal was
Crazy.
probably the dumbest fucking
Crazy.
like, that might have been grounds for firing right there.
Yeah.
Like, it took until December of the next season to fire him.
Yeah.
There might be a case for like, why'd you put the idiot out there?
Also
You
because-
put the dumbest guy on the team on the ice.
Because Carcillo's jacked up. They're up 3-0. The crowd's jacked up.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's his job. He fights. That's all he does. So
Sure.
Yeah, you put him in a bad spot.
There's that difference of like, Boston is losing when Pasta goes to Montgomery and is like, just let me go fucking fight him. I'm not afraid of him.
Yeah.
All right, what do we have to lose today?
Sure.
All right. It's the opposite situation for Dan Carcillo there. You don't put the idiot on the ice.
Dude, it's so bad.
Maybe after all this time, like I've been blaming Carcillo for that. And I really need to be blaming John Stevens.
I mean, you just brought it up, and I'm like double thinking this
Yeah, like,
this whole
what the fuck
situation.
was he
Now,
thinking?
it wasn't Carcillo's fault.
What was he thinking? All right. That's pretty much all the time we have for you today on PHLY Flyers. Frankie, thank you so much for joining.
Thanks for having me.
This was a ton of fun
Yeah,
for
it was
me.
awesome.
I hope everyone out there just enjoyed me and my buddy getting to just talk some shit for an hour. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Before we get out, you know what I got to tell you about. I got to tell you about one of my favorite sponsors right here at PHLY Flyers. It's Coors Light. This team, whether we're talking about its history, the future, or the present, one thing's for certain, we're going to get fired up talking about them. They drive us nuts.
Yep.
And that's why sometimes you and I both just need to chill a little bit. And there's no better way to chill than with an ice cold Coors Light. So whether you're freaking out about, I don't know, is this Russian goalie even going to be here? Or injuries, the draft, whatever it is, you need to find the Blue Mountains in your fridge and enjoy a beer as cold as the Rockies. Because when everything surrounding your favorite hockey team is on fire, and when isn't it? Sometimes you just got to chill. When you choose to rise above it all, choose chill, choose Coors Light. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door with Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/PHLY Hockey. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. That'll do it for us today. Thank you all so much for listening. Thank you for hanging out. If you don't follow us, do so right here on the YouTube page. Set those reminders so you never miss a live show. Fairly certain, just a guess here, we're going to be live all next week at 1 o'clock, as we have been since the offseason began. Also, follow us on Twitter at PHLY_Flyers and the podcast, PHLY Flyers, wherever you get those. Thank you so much to our presenting sponsor, Mortgage CS, with us every day. Couldn't be happier that they are our presenting sponsor. Check out mortgagecs.com/PHLY to start your home buying process today. My name's Bill Matz. That's Frankie Bomb Bomb. Stay loose and sexy, Philly.
We all silly like the mayor.